Hi, I'm once again making a video instead of doing writing. Oh my God, unabashedly. Listen, I don't want to write right now, which, I do actually. I've been trying to write for the last couple of days. It's just not been working. So I've been procrastinating a lot. And so I was like, let me procrastinate for like 15 more minutes, but also like a relatable procrastination. So like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it for the community. Like this is a community building exercise. Okay. So if you didn't catch my last video, I said I was going on a hiatus. I guess this doesn't count as the hiatus. I don't know. Like, I guess I'm like, it's like an unedited video. It's like, I don't really have to put much effort into it. And I'm really just making this for myself to talk out loud. And then, if you find it useful, good for you. Like, by the way, this is a sticker on my face. Yes, just ignore. Anyways, so I love how I point out the sticker on my face and not the cowboy hat. Anyways, all right. I've been writing this book. Y'all already know. If you've been seeing my shorts, she's in her struggle era. It's just not happening right now, which is totally fine, totally normal. Not fun though. Anyways, I have not done what I've been saying I'm going to do, like, for a while. And it gets really frustrating when that happens because, like, for some, I don't know how you guys are, but for me, I'm gonna plug this out because it's kind of awkward to have this cord in my face. But for me, like, I am somebody who, like, is a doer. I like to do a lot. Like, if I can be doing a lot at one time, it just makes me happy. I like it. It's not like, I'm not like trying to hustle culture my way through life. Like, no. I was not built for hustling. I was built for engaging in my very niche interests all day for the rest of my life. So when it doesn't end up working out, when my plans kind of fall through, I keep procrastinating throughout the day. And then it's 7:18 p.m. like it is right now. And I'm making this video instead of actually writing. And I've been saying all day that I was going to write. It's a little bit frustrating out of my own doing. Like, I'm not blaming anybody but myself, but I don't even blame myself because it just goes to show there's something. Usually when this happens, I've been writing for like nearly 10 years. It's a symptom of something. It's showing that there's something amiss. And what's amiss, I think, right now is that I'm coming toward the end of this project. And I wanted to kind of talk, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just going to follow my train of thought here. Is I started writing this project, which is Body Back. If you don't have no idea what I'm talking about, I've been writing a novella called Body Back. I started writing it in a time where, like, I desperately needed it, like, it was lovely. It almost felt magical, like, the time that I was writing it. So I started in late February. Yeah, girl, going through a hard time. It was not a good time. And I keep remembering that weekend. I think I talked about this sometime recently, but that weekend when I started writing Body Back, like, was like very bad, like, for me, just in a lot of reasons. And my apartment was freezing cold because the insulation wasn't great. And so even though my heat was all the way up, it was still like, I don't know, 16, 17 degrees inside the house. I get cold really easily. I can't handle that. No, Celsius, not Fahrenheit. The Americans watching this are like, what? I don't know how much that is in Fahrenheit. I'm so sorry. Anyway, it's really cold for me. And so I was like in this state where it was delirious almost. I was just like, not only was I physically just like, oh, this sucks. Mentally, it wasn't there for just unrelated personal reasons. Don't ask me why. I keep thinking back to that time and I'm like, I wish I could go back to that time. It's silly. I also think it's extremely human of a desire to, want to return to a time that feels like a movie almost, because it was kind of like a movie. The weekend, like, in terms of scenario and, like, promise of the premise, like, it's when her apartment insulation fails and she's in a freezing cold apartment for the weekend and she starts writing a novella, what will happen next? It's kind of like there's something high concept about that weekend. So I've been thinking a lot about that and how I really needed this project badly at the time that I started it, and now I'm not there anymore. Well, it's not that I'm doing astronomically better, because I'm still transitioning back to not being a student anymore, because I just graduated. If you're just watching this video, I just graduated with my degree in creative writing. But I keep thinking back to late February and then all of March. When all of March is when Body Back clicked. I wrote like the first 10K of it. I was really feeling it. I was loving it so much. It's not that I don't love it now, but I noticed this happened with Seventh Virtue too. After the 2-month mark, the shininess wears off. It's just normal. Like, I think especially after the first month. The second month, I think some symptoms of things start to show up, like, some doubts and frustration, but you're still riding the momentum a bit of month 1. By the time you get to month 3, I feel like a lot of, the shininess is dulled. Like it makes sense. Time has passed. And it kind of disappoints me. Oh my God, is it really like the anniversary? Maybe it is. Let me see if I can Google this really fast because I think I posted about this on Tumblr. Oh my God, you're kidding me. Oh my God, it was literally, today is the birthday. Oh my God, that is crazy. Now I'm feeling much more productive about making this video because, yeah, this is so cool that there's now an occasion. I really like that there's an occasion. So it is the 3 months birthday of Body Back, which is crazy because I think this project, it came at me in a time of my life where like I needed a project. I needed something. I needed to write. And I haven't been in a position where like I desperately am clinging to my writing to get me through something I've never experienced that as much as I did, with Body Back at this moment. Oh my God, I can't believe it's 3 months. Jeez. Okay. And so what I've been thinking is I kind of get panicked about time moving in general in my life. I get panicked about that and like losing time. And like, it's why like take your time is really important to me because like I have a lot of time, or I would hope that I have a lot of time ahead of me. And like, I'm lucky that I do have some time right now where I can just decompress. Not everybody has that. And so I have this time ahead of me, but it feels like I'm just running out of time. And I wanted so badly to finish this book fast. And the thing is, like, there's nothing, I don't think you necessarily need to finish books. Like, you don't have to. If you're a slower writer, be a slower writer. Like, it's taking me, I think the longest it's taken me to write a book is maybe 2.5 years, something like that. Like there's been times where I've taken quite a while to do my, my drafts. And some people take longer, some people take 10 years, and that's totally fine too. There's no race, there's no one correct thing. But with Body Back, for me, I had wanted to finish this project fast because I knew I was going home, and I knew when I went home, and I'm here now, like there would be like a transition, like away, like from my life that I'm very used to, that I no longer have. And I think a part of me like loved the idea of like, okay, let me just like wrap up like months in like these really neat parcels. So let me finish Body Back in March, and then by the time April comes, I can start something new. And at the time when I started Body Back, I thought I wouldn't be home like so early. I moved back home a lot earlier than I thought I was going to. Jeez, I'm still not over the fact that it's the birthday today. All right. It's like when you're child. I'm like 3 months. Okay. I think I've just been very anxious the last couple of weeks, pulling off of my last video from fear, but anxious over the last couple of weeks that I'm taking too long on this. And it's like, why is this taking so long? Because in the grand scheme of things, I wrote Mothwork, which is the book for which this is a novella. I said that very formally. Anyway, I wrote that book in about 6 months. It wasn't chronological time. So I need to give myself, I need to remind myself. I can't remember when I started writing that book for real. It must have been sometime in I talked about this in the last video, but it took me about 6 months. For me, I'm like, why has it taken me 3 months to write so little? And I think there's a lot of these mindsets that I have that I'm trying to reverse, and it's not that I myself am so caught up in like this, productivity and like blah, 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 but I'm not gonna lie and be like, yeah, it feels like I feel good about where I am right now, because I also want, these videos are me rambling, to be honest, and to be like, yeah, it feels really good when you can write a lot really fast. And I'm trying to unlearn that, because you don't want to necessarily like equate speed to something working out or something like that. Can be, a part of it. Like the opening of this book like came like that. The rest of it hasn't come like that, and that's not because of the book, but because of my circumstances. What's funny is like I don't necessarily think of myself as somebody who's not gentle with themselves. Some people and I used to struggle with this a lot. I personally used to be pretty hard on myself about everything, which is, I think when I got to university and like I developed a bit of some confidence, I didn't feel so bad about the things that I could and couldn't do. And it's not like right now I feel bad about it. Maybe I do feel bad about it. I don't know. It's just like, yeah, looking at it objectively, it's like, Rachel, just calm down, because I started this book on February 23rd, 2023. Like if I'm correct about the dates, that's, 3 months ago to this day right now. Started it. At that time, I was right about to start finals, because for my program, finals aren't like there earlier because I didn't have exams. So it was final projects that I had to work on, which means from the beginning of March, basically from like, let's say the second week of March onward, I was doing my finals, right? Not only did I write 10,000 words of this book while I was doing, the hardest part of my degree, I was finishing my degree, all of these projects, I was doing tons of writing because, I kind of had to. I'm looking at that. I'm like, that's great. That's a huge thing to accomplish. And then also you have to remember, you is me in this case, I moved. I wasn't supposed to move. I started writing this book and I didn't think I was going to move. I thought I had all the time in the world, and losing time panics me. And a lot of that panic has stopped me from writing. I'm in a bit of a state of panic. Like it's just like it's panicking for me a little bit to like, because I don't like losing out on time and moving like very abruptly. I lost time that I thought I was going to have, and that isn't, and I don't need to think about it that way. I still have the time. It's just like not the time that I thought I was going to have. And it's been difficult for me to adjust, and it's leaked into my writing about like, okay, well, April, I had to spend all of it moving. But at the same time, I wrote so much still in April. I finished chapter in April. I was writing frequently in April. I was going to my university library like every day, and I was writing. And for basically that entire month. And then by the end of the month, I was home. And that was a big transition. And not only that, you guys don't know because I haven't made a video in it yet because I'm not making videos right now, except, I'm making videos right now. I also moved into a different room. So like, not only did I move home, like with all my stuff, and I was across the country, I also moved into a different space. I had to completely move things out. I was designing things. It was a lot of work. And now it's May. And this fear started to onset in May for me of writing, and that was in the last video, so I won't talk about it too much here. But I'm looking at these variables, and I'm like, okay, I'm dealing with a lot. Like it's a lot to deal with. But like, why do I still feel like frustrated that I haven't finished this book? I'm like, okay, so you've lived quite possibly. 2023 has been the most stressful year of my life. A lot of you wouldn't know that because it's just not something I am talking about. But a lot of the things have been happening since the beginning of the year. The year I think this is just, I don't know if maybe this is just adulthood. It's been issue after issue. It's been like crisis after crisis, anxiety after anxiety. You just got to deal with a lot this year. And it's been a lot. And I'm acknowledging that right now. I'm generous is the word that I'm looking for right now with myself, because I understand it's been a tough year. But for some reason, like, I just can't, I'm not getting that, like as much as I need to when it comes to understanding like why I'm not writing. And maybe it could be like, I think with Seventh Virtue, which is the book that I wrote right before Body Back, it was a completely different genre. Body Back is adult literary fiction. Seventh Virtue was contemporary fantasy that was also adult, but like written just for me. And it was like, I could write it very fast. So I could do this like really large output of words. And it's not like they were bad words. They're actually really quite good words, but it's not the same. It's not the same. I have to remind myself that. Like, okay, so it follows the same character. Harrison in Seventh Virtue is jumping onto a giant bird. He's not doing that in Body Back. Like, in a way, it's easier. Not that genre fiction is easier, but at points, it was easier for me to write this genre fiction book that was supposed to be high, fast-paced, that was supposed to be, like, quite exciting, rather than to write this very internal narrative that has, like, zero plot, and is, like, the plot itself is, like, propelled by psychology. That's, like, a lot of work. I found Seventh Virtue challenging in other ways, so that's not to discount how challenging Seventh Virtue was for me to write. But in terms of like word count, we're thinking about like how many words did you write in a day? Seventh Virtue, I was averaging like I could do 3,000 words in a day, and I wouldn't even feel like it because like Harrison's just making jokes about capitalism and coffee, and it was supposed to be goofy. Like, I've described that book as campy because it's supposed to be, so a lot of it is quite silly, and it's fun, and I love it so much. It's my favorite book that I've written in a long time. But it's different. Body Back is completely different, and I know that. I've known that since the beginning, but it's just crazy how like you can know something like logically in your head. I can know that I've had a hard year. I can know that I've been busy. I can know that it's kind of a miracle that I've been able to write this much amidst giant changes happening in my life, like me concurrently writing this much while these changes are occurring. I know these things and I'm not feeling it. It's like I'm not registering it. And I wonder if other people feel that way too, because the last time this happened to me was in 2020. When I was writing Feeding Habits, I started to feel the same way. I started to feel frustrated. It's not that I'm frustrated with Body Back. I love Body Back. It's excellent. It's so good. I wish more people could read it because it's really good. Like, I remember feeling that way when I was writing Feeding Habits, which is the book that comes after Body Back, but I wrote it before. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Body Back is part of, like, it stems from a duology that I wrote. So I wrote the first book, which was Mothwork. Then the middle book is Body Back, but I'm writing it right now. And then the second book is Feeding Habits. So Body Back is like the 1.5 book. So when I was writing Feeding Habits, I remember I would like get up and I would say, I'm going to write. And then it was like 9 p.m. or like 10 p.m. and I was tired and I could barely do anything. And sometimes I just wouldn't write. And sometimes I would open the document and then I just wouldn't write because I was tired. So, and then it would repeat the next day and I would get into the cycle and I would just feel like, oh my God, like I feel very trapped right now. And a lot of it, I think, is just like this procrastination of something. I don't know, like this discomfort. And it upsets me that I'm like uncomfortable with this project because, and I think I'm just taking it very personally right now because this is not meant to be like this. And it's like silly to allot projects like, you must be good at all times, you know, like, and not like good as in like the writing needs to be good, but like good as in like good in my books. Like I'm feeling really good about it and I'm like working on it and it's working and everything. That's not how writing works. I've been writing for 10 years. I've written 12 novels. I've written so many short stories. I know how writing works. So it's not how writing works. I know that. And it's just like, it doesn't matter that I know that because it's just how I feel anyway. And it's very normal, I think. But it's been uncomfortable and it's been confusing and it's been anxiety inducing. And I'm like, I haven't felt imposter syndrome in years. And I'm just like, what is wrong with me? Like, why am I feeling like this right now? I feel like I've taken 40 million steps back. I have tried so hard to get to a point where I don't feel like this anymore. And it's like, why do I feel like this again? It's so frustrating. And it's just a part of life. Like, you know, life isn't linear. Life moves and, you know, ebbs and flows. It's normal, right? Doesn't matter that I'm saying that because it just feels bad. It's the feeling that sucks. I don't know. I've been kind of upset about it, to be honest, because this project in particular, I can't even explain it to you, is a very sacred space to me. That's how I describe it. Like, not sacred even in like a religious way, but just like sacred in like a deeply, like maybe almost like maybe spiritual, almost, maybe, I don't know, but sacred in a very sacred way. Like, it has been extremely important to me, and it to be honest, kept me alive. Like, that's how important this book has been to me. I'm not lying about that. I don't want to talk about it that much, but I had a very difficult March. I don't know exactly where I would have been, you know, if I hadn't come up with this, if I hadn't had a lot of support from people, which, you know, if you're one of those people who was very nice to me about this project, you did a lot more for me than I think anybody would know. I have felt a lot like 18-year-old Rachel, which is so funny because 18-year-old Rachel was also struggling with kind of the things that I'm talking about right now. Like I said, that's when I was writing Feeding Habits. And she was also emotionally struggling. And I'm not lying. I have been also struggling too. And don't worry about me. Like, I have a lot of support. I'm totally fine. This is not supposed to be like, don't worry about me. I am in limbo because my life has changed a lot. I've been very nostalgic about things. And I think that's a lot of it too, is like a lot of me really misses my old routine. And I miss the person I could be, you know, and who I was. And I'm still that person. I know that I am. But when you move, I'm sure a lot of graduates understand, it's just a really big deal. Like, everything feels different. I've been, a lot of the times when I'm thinking back to school, I'm not thinking about school. I'm thinking about writing this book. I'm thinking about going to Starbucks and buying myself a $5 drink, even though I don't like Starbucks, and being afraid to order at the Starbucks because ordering at Starbucks really intimidates me. And I think about going to my favorite table at the library, if I could snag it, and sitting there and like drinking my drink and like writing and listening to music and being goofy and loving every moment of my life. And it's not that I can't get that back right now. It's just things are different, right? And I understand that. Like, I know that things are different. Big part of me, maybe it's just a me problem. I'm such an intellectualizer of my emotions, so I think it's been difficult for me to like really feel and really understand where I've been feeling with my writing, and that it's deeply connected to graduating and deeply connected to, you know, becoming an adult and not being a student anymore and having my routine change. And I think the more that I understand that, the more that I acknowledge that, you know, the better things become. But it's been, I don't know, it's not been easy, and I don't think it's going to be easy like for the rest of the year as I kind of adjust. But it makes me sad because I don't know, maybe it's silly to feel this way, but sometimes I'm like, when projects get to a point where like you're not happy with them, sometimes it feels like something has been tainted, and it almost feels like you can never go back to the way that it was, which isn't true. I never thought I would enjoy writing Feeding Habits ever again. I hated it. In all of 2020, I hated writing that book. I hated it so much. Even in 2021, when I went to go kind of revise things, I didn't love it very much. Then when I was finishing it in 2022, I loved it. I had so much fun writing it. So I know from my experience, and I know like these are things that I tell you guys, but I also know that it's so normal to understand things and it just doesn't matter, you know, because it's not really how life works. Life isn't just about, you know, like, oh, well, I get it, so therefore I feel fine, you know? Yeah, writing has been tough. I'm at this scene, and I'm struggling, to be honest, with the act. Like, this is the first time in a while that I've actually genuinely struggled with the actual, you know, writing things too. I felt kind of stuck. I think I might have written myself into a corner, which I think also a big part of it for me is when this particular series stopped working, like it holds a lot of like emotional, I wouldn't go to as far to say trauma, but it holds like a bit of like quite a sore spot inside of me, because I really struggled with this book, or, you know, the series, Feeding Habits. We'll talk about Feeding Habits. Really struggled with it for a long time. And to feel like now, like me in 2023, I'm kind of back there is distressing, I think. Like I don't know if anybody else has had that experience. I know this is very niche because it's like I'm writing like a project that is like a precursor to a book that I already wrote that was very hard for me to write. And a big part of me, and this is so sad to me, because like Body Back is the way that oh God, it feels like an apology almost, like to younger me, but also like an apology from younger me to me now, like to 21-year-old me, and then an apology from 21-year-old me to younger me, and also an apology to the book itself and to the characters and to the story, because I spent so much time hating everything when it came to Feeding Habits that I lost sight of the beauty in the project. And I will never forget the life-changing experience of rereading Mothwork in February of 2023. I reread it, and it was amazing, because for the first time I could actually see what I had done, and I could see that it was so excellent, and I could see that I was proud of myself, and it was like, wow, cool. Like, it was one of those moments where I felt very satisfied. Maybe that's one thing. It's not that I'm hard on myself. It's just that does this sound silly? I'm not really hard on myself. Like, I'm not really like, I don't beat myself up as I used to, but I'm not satisfied a lot of the times with the things that I do. It's like never enough, you know? And it's not never enough in like, you could have done better, but it just doesn't, like, I don't think that about myself. It's just like, doesn't feel like, I don't know what I'm saying. But anyway, yeah, I think I've been in this limbo, and, you know, I feel like in a younger place and in a vulnerable place with my writing, and I haven't felt like that in a while. Maybe it's silly to think, but I didn't think I was going to feel that way again. And it's like, like it doesn't feel like a failure. It just feels like it sucks that, like, you know, I'm not where I was hoping to be. Genuinely, I had this really like romantic view, and it's silly, almost not silly, but it's sad, because I still have this like really like romantic, nostalgic view of what my May will be like. It's May 23rd, and I still have this idea of me in March thinking about what my May will be like, and I was in my university apartment, and I was still going to classes, and I was writing Body Back, and I was listening to Palladium, Grace, and Chance while I was walking back from classes and getting scene ideas. And I still have this idea of this sunny May where I'm writing a different novella. I'm not writing Body Back. I'm writing the second one that I wanted to write, this book called Hallowed Bodies, which I'll still write. I don't think it's going to be as long as Body Back, but I had this idea that I would be done Body Back in April, and I would start May with like this fresh, like bright sunshine. Like, this is how the month is going to work. And what's sad to me is I still have that ideal. Get it silly, because like, not silly in like a shining way, but funny almost, because I'm never going to get May 2023 back. It's currently May 23rd. So I'm not going to have that May. Now, can I have that June? Can I have that July? Yeah, maybe. But still in my brain, I think I'd gotten this idea of like, this is what my May is going to be like. I'm going to have almost like, this is what my gay is going to be like, which I mean, relevant for both Body Back and Hallowed Bodies. I can't stop thinking about it. It's almost like, well, that's the instinct. Because I was like, yeah, okay, May, this is what's going to happen. No, it's not what happened. In May, I was panicked most of the time about my writing. I'm still panicked, and it's not a great feeling, right? Yeah, I'm at this point in the book, writing update, after all this emotional spiel, I'm at this point in the book where things are even harder to write than it was before. Chapter 1 came quite easily. It's like how feeding habits work. Chapter 1 came very easily for me in Body Back. Chapter 2 was a little bit tougher. I had some issues, but like I did get through it quick. I think it took me, 2 weeks to write. It wasn't very long. Chapter 3 took me a month, I think, about three weeks, to write. And chapter 3 was hard, but I ended up loving the final product. Now, chapter 4 I'm writing, it's just called No Christ. Oh God, the chapter's already 4,000 words and I feel like I've done nothing. I'm like, what has happened, And I'm at this point where the plot is basically done. Body Back, like it's done. Like I have this, the ending bit where, Harrison's supposed to go be chaotic and like still party in Las Vegas. And like, if you saw I posted a short of like some art that I had done of him and he's like in a field with his head split open and there's like a flower behind his ear. That scene hasn't happened yet. So that's still going to happen. That's going to kind of be like the end of the book, the climax, et cetera, et cetera. But like the most exciting part of the book you could say is over, because that was 24 Karat Harrison. It's when he's wearing this hat. 24 Karat Harrison has this hat, and I bought this as a graduation present for myself so that I could to be 24 Karat Harrison. No, that I could use it to decorate my room, and now I've just been wearing it everywhere. Unironically, I just put this on. Yeah, the most exciting part is done. And so I'm struggling a little bit with No Christ, because No Christ in itself is like a chapter about godlessness, and like it's the feeling that I feel almost right now, which might be like why it feels, and it's not that I feel godless, right? I'm in there, but I don't feel, it's not fresh for me, godlessness and, lack of belief, lack of faith. It's that feeling of like after. It's that echo in the street. It's the party after it's over, like the minute all the guests leave. It's that, really uncomfortable feeling when something has ended, and you're in that transitional period. Me right now, maybe this is why I'm struggling to write it. It really is supposed to be like, okay, you're faithless now. And in this context, yes, faith has to do with Christianity, but it's also a faithlessness of, yourself, of identity. It's a real like deep chapter. And so I think because it's quite a complicated and internal experience, it's been very difficult to write. Now the chapter opened with Harrison. I don't know, what is he doing? Let's find out. That's what I ask myself every day. What is he doing? Oh, man. So he wakes up in a church, and he slept in a church, apparently. So the chapter before, he's gotten, be responsible if you're watching this. But he has, gotten quite chaotic after a party. And he met this dude. It was like real not good. He wakes up in a church. He just ends up in a church. So that's how we open No Christ. And so Harrison is woken up by the priest, and he's kind of disgruntled because he's hungover. He's wearing the hat, so he still looks like the way that he did the night before, but he's not in this sense of glitz anymore. He's not feeling like the 24 karat version of himself, right? He's back to normal, and he's just like this isn't great. So he interrupts this mass, well, right before the mass starts, and the congregation's all staring at him, and then he goes and scares a child. Like, he literally goes up to a child and is like, roar. This is who I'm dealing with. Maybe he's the problem. It's not me. He's the problem. Which is so funny because I'm so Harrison coded. Like, we're the same, basically, which is horrifying to me. But anyways, actually, it's lovely, but in a horrifying way. And then after that, he ends up cornering this dude. He walks out to the parking lot and sees this dude who looks like his ex, and he's like, let me go run after this man. Like, that's a normal thing to do because that must be my ex. Like, forget everything that I've said about not missing him and about not needing him and not wanting to see him anymore. He's right here, so I'm just gonna go, and like, we're gonna be fine and everything's gonna be fine. And then it's not him, obviously, and so that doesn't end up well for him. So then he's like even more dejected. Like, so do you catch the drift of like the vibes of the chapter? It's just a lot of heaviness. And then he returns back to the apartment of this guy he's seeing, Jeremiah. Jeremiah's been looking for him. Jeremiah's like, what the hell? Like, what did you do? Like, you stole my friend's bike. Harrison's like, don't care. But he's in this position where, like, he's crashing. You can really feel like every moment is a plummet. He's plummeting. And it's not going well for him. And then instead of dealing with his feelings like a mature 21-year-old would, he is like, let me just go take a shower, and when I get out, everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna be totally fine. And he's not, which is, very relatable, like, same. It did not fix him. He came back wrong after that. But after that is where I'm at right now, where Jeremiah is like, okay, I like you, so I want to help you. Let's go out to get something to eat. And I'm at this position where I have to kind of write normalcy in a really abnormal way. And it's difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. So, I have to kind of patience because it's tricky. And I think I have to give it time too, because I thought I was doing something wrong when I was writing chapter 3, which was 24 Karat Harrison, but I actually wasn't. I was doing everything right the entire time. Like, my subconscious was completely correct. So I think I almost just need to continue where I'm going, but it can get dejected, like dejecting. I don't know. It can be discouraging is what I'm saying. When you aren't feeling like something is going in the right direction. And I don't feel badly about it. It's just like, sometimes I like can't help but feel like I really want to go back to the time where I did understand this project. And what's funny is I never did. It's just like this idealized version in my head of how writing has been going. Because it's not like it was going bad. I'm not saying it was secretly terrible the whole time. But chapter 1, I had written this opening and it was so good. I wrote this paragraph in like a stroke of genius. Lightning struck upon me and I was gifted this thing from the heavens or whatever. And it was the first paragraph. I wrote it, obviously, but like it felt like, I didn't write it. And then after that point, I was overthinking a little bit. I was struggling a little bit. I got stuck when I was writing the first chapter, and I went to my sister and I was like, I don't really know what's going to happen. And when I was talking to her is when I kind of walked myself into the plot point. So I also need to be more honest with myself and be like, yeah, but it's not like that it's all sunshine and rainbows all the time. Like, it's not realistic. It was difficult to write chapter 1, even though I think of that as the perfect writing experience. It was difficult. There was a point where I was like kind of getting a little bit like panicked because I was like, I don't know what to do. Writing chapter 2, there's that whole bit. I talked about it in my podcast episode. I think that was the son of Harry, the Harry son chapter, where there's a whole conversation in the bathroom. That thing, which was so cringe and hard to write, that was in that chapter. Chapter 3 was difficult to write from beginning to end because I thought I was doing something structurally incorrect when I actually was doing something structurally really cool, but I didn't realize it. So like now in chapter 4, like obviously it's going to be difficult, but sometimes it's like you don't think about those things when you're like, I don't know, when you're in a different place, and where, like, because I'm physically in a different place, I can't help but think back to a time that I liked more. Well, not that I like it more, but like where I was having like a really fun time, and I can't help but think about that so much and be like, I just want to go back there with my writing. And I think nostalgia is something that like it feels really deadly in my writing process sometimes. Sometimes nostalgia is really lovely. Like I can remember gorgeous weekends of writing Fostered. I always mention the time when I went to New York City with my family for a weekend and I wrote 12,000 words when I was 14, I think. 13, I think. And I never will forget that, and how, exciting, how exhilarating that was for me. But I'm sure I also struggled during that weekend too. But sometimes it's hard when you look back on those dates, like where things were going so well. You almost feel like, you almost forget, that it was hard at times. And it's kind of where I'm at. I almost forgot that it's been hard to write Body Back, even though I love it. I love it so much. This is nothing to say here that it sucks or like it's bad or anything. I'd love to read some of it for you because I didn't read any in the last bit and I haven't really been sharing much of this. Okay, let me read something from No Christ, because that's what I'm talking about. As he hustles down the aisle, a martyr for his own cause, a mother pulls her young son into her side. Had Susanna ever done something like that when he was this kid's age? Her hand firm around her child's shoulder, her mouth pearly and Lancome and ready to find flesh. That might be nice, to have someone love that much. Harrison slows. The boy could be him, same hair, same eyes, same nose. How ironic is it? He's fled all this way just to find himself again. The boy looks away when Harrison crouches and pushes the sunglasses through his hair. He's wearing sunglasses. Harrison's wearing sunglasses. Pronouns, so confusing. Anyway, light belts through the stained glass, jabs his eyes and rubies the walls like blood might. This whole church is a wound, unhealed, gutting. The mother's going to say something, kick him in the face, strangle him with her rosary. He'd be fine with that any other day, but right now he doesn't care about her. As he peers at the kid, his furred arms trembling as he pats his shoulders, all he knows is he'll never be this young again. He's holding a dead part of himself, and he could tell this child too. One day he might end up in the same position, hungover, hungry, livid, screwed. Instead, he leans forward and hissing like a tiger would, whispers, "Roar." The boy cringes into his mother. He really did not have to say all he knows is he'll never be this young again. I feel like that's the thesis of this video. Oh my god. Jeez. I want to read something else that doesn't leave off on that existentialism. Maybe this like when he thinks he sees Lonan and it's not actually Lonan. It's his musings on Jeremiah that prevent him from noticing at first. In a past life, that lack of noticing would have been impossible, a fatal wound. But there he is, barely aware of the oil-dark hair, just a flash in the corner of his eye, rounding the parking lot. It's that fast. His head snaps up, and then he's seeing him, his narrow body, his darting walk, his subtle clefted waves. He doesn't need to check for the eyes, unmarred like the sky, because he's running now, hat clattering off his forehead, held narrowly against his neck by the stampede strings. The man walks past a silver Acura. He's a member of the congregation, of course, but not just any member. This is where he's been. On lonely midnights, Harrison's wondered against all his admittance where he's been in this city. If they've touched the same pavement, if they've cried at the same intersections. He's dreamt about him, he'll admit now, yearn for his hands again, their bony blueness, their abundant warmth. They're dancing again in a cramped bathroom, in need of no other music but the other's heartbeat. They're blinking into camera flash, silent as a Polaroid prints, holding each other the way the ocean holds itself. Why is that one also a bummer? This whole book is a bummer. I'm trying to find one that's not a bummer. Oh my gosh, they're all a bummer. Let's read something with Jeremiah, because Jeremiah's a lot of fun. This is Jeremiah being really nice. Too nice. When Harrison opens his mouth, Jeremiah approaches him quickly, takes his face so gently he winces. His hand is slippery with cocoa butter, breaths heavy, brows low. Harrison knows what this means. Concern. Maybe he's afraid too, but it doesn't matter. It shouldn't at all. One man's worry is not his problem. Why would he care? Why would he? What happened to you? Jeremiah whispers. Perhaps he arrived home alone last night, stayed up till 5 a.m. with his eyes staked by toothpicks. Perhaps this weekend is the worst thing that's happened to him in a long time. For Jeremiah. Oh my god. Speaking of Jeremiah, fan art that I made for myself of Jeremiah, I drew him. Finally, it has been 4 years and I finally drew Jeremiah. And I think it turned out really nicely. So if you're wondering what he looks like, that's what he looks like. And if you're wondering what 24 karat Harrison looks like, this is what he looks like. I am so sorry that I have subjected you to that. All right, this has made me feel better, I think. I'm still lost. I still don't know what I'm going to do. And it's now 8 p.m., so I've been talking here for like 40 minutes. But yeah, I don't know. You're not alone if you feel this way. You're not alone if you've ever panicked about your writing. you're not alone if you have no idea what you're doing. Even if you've been writing for 10 years, like I haven't written and have written a bunch of stuff, like it's fine. It's so normal and it's going to be okay. It's just like I have to remind myself, like I'm writing this because I love it. I genuinely do love it. I really love this project. It's meant so much to me. In other news, I did write the opening of 7th Virtue Book 2 yesterday because I was so procrastinating body back that I was like, Reeve, save me. So I wrote the opening of the book, which is in her point of view. So spoiler for the book that I'm going to spoil anyway. But anyway, all right, I'm going to wrap up because that's it. And I need to go refill my tea. So thank you. You're going to be okay. It's so okay. You know what? I'm so proud of you and what you've done, no matter who you are, where you've been, what you've gone through. I'm so proud of you today, okay? Do what you can. Do what you want to. Do what makes you happy. You're going to be okay. We got this. It's going to be fine. It's what I keep telling myself. Take your time. Take your time. It's going to be okay, all right?